All right. All right. Oh my goodness, there's so much of me this morning. Good morning. Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Come on in and take your seats. Welcome to those of you that are watching online this morning. I'm Reverend Mary Marie Shelton. I'm the senior minister here and the community spiritual leader. And I'm really happy to see you all this morning. And those of you that are watching online, I can see you, you know. I really can. So behave yourselves out there. I'm just glad that you're all here this morning. This is a really important time for us to gather together. And so whoever you are, wherever you may be on your pathway of faith, you're welcome here. And we're very happy to have you with us, especially today. I want to introduce, because I'm going to have you stand and sing in just a moment, but I want to introduce to you some very good friends of mine who are going to be singing this morning from Vancouver, British Columbia. They were with us at the end of the month last month, Beverly Elliott and Chris Noland. They have years and years and years of experience singing and performing and all over the place. And Beverly's done a lot of theater and films and one-woman shows that have won awards and all kinds of stuff like that. And Chris is amazing. So the two of them are here with us again this morning from Vancouver, and they're going to lead us through the opening song, which around midway through, I will encourage you to walk around and say good morning to each other. Then we'll come back and finish the morning song. So if you're with people at home, you know, make sure you give them a hug, tell them good morning at the greeting time, all right? Everybody please stand and let's welcome Beverly Elliott and Chris Noland.
Good morning, good morning. We are so happy to be back here this morning. And thank you for joining us all. Mary, lovely to see you. We're going to sing a song called Heaven Guide Me. Heaven Guide Me. Can you hear me? I'm trusting that it's all
Yes,
working.
we can hear you.
So we
can hear
beautiful.
you.
Okay.
It's good. Yeah.
So the first part is Heaven Guide Me, Heaven Show Me the Way. Heaven Guide Me, Heaven Show Me the Way. Let's just sing that together. Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way. Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way. One more. Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way. Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way. And the next part goes like this. When I'm lost and confused, heaven lead the way. When I'm reaching for you, will you meet me halfway? Let's sing that. When I'm lost and confused, heaven lead the way. When I'm reaching for you, will you meet me halfway? Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way. Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way. When I'm lost, when I'm lost and confused, heaven lead the way. When I'm reaching for you, will you meet me halfway? Heaven guide me. If you'd like to say hello to each other, we'll just
go ahead and say good morning to your friends and neighbors. Go ahead and greet people. Say hello. You can shake hands or give them a hug if you're both comfortable with that. You at home, I let you guide yourselves in this process of saying good morning. But we are thrilled that you're with us today. And there's going to be a little noise while they're all saying hello.
Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way. Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way. When I'm lost and confused, heaven lead the way. When I'm reaching for
all right,
you.
Come on back, come on back. Come on back. You can chat at coffee time. You chat more at coffee time. Come on back. We're going to sing some more. They're paying no attention to me.
Heaven guide me, heaven show me the way. When I'm lost and confused, heaven lead the way. When heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way, heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way. Last time, heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way, heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way.
Thank you, Beverly and Chris. Now I'm going to invite all of you to take your seats. I know it's been wonderful connecting with old friends. You probably didn't even notice that we did the rest of the song without you, most of you. So I'm going to invite you to go ahead and find your seats again. And please silence your cell phones so there won't be any disruption during this service this morning. It's not necessary to turn them off, just put them on vibrate, turn the sound down, or put them on do not disturb, however you want to do that. And we're going to prepare now to go into the centering song and the morning prayer, which will be given by our prayer practitioner, Suzanne Dubois. So, Suzanne, I'm going to invite you to come on up and be ready. And everybody else, just move within as we go back to Chris and Beverly for the centering song now.
Words I have to say may be simple, but they're true. Till you give your love, there's nothing more that you can do. Love is the opening door. Love is what we came here for. No one could offer you more. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen?
Please join me as you close your eyes and remind yourself of who and what surrounds us, and allow yourself to sink into and embrace this sacred space. I know there is only one all-encompassing, loving, giving, and inclusive spirit. As all the waters of the earth, rivers, lakes, and oceans move upon the earth, Spirit moves upon, in, and through us. Each and every one of us here present, listening in, and everyone in the world is part of the one. I accept and know and am deeply grateful for the good that is ours now and always. I declare an opening in consciousness where we can expand what we think is possible into the infinite, knowing that in that infinite there is all the qualities of God. Spirit is love, harmony, balance, order, and peace. And we are all part of that. And so I claim for us today a new opening where we experience and grow peace and love in our hearts for all that happens, knowing that all is perfect and always is perfect. And I am so thankful for this possibility and this knowing. And so in deep gratitude, I put my word directly into the law of mind, knowing that it is already manifest in spirit, and I am grateful for the words and songs of the musicians and of Reverend Mary today. And so I say thanks, knowing it's done, and so it is. Namaste.
You say it's very hard to leave behind the life you knew. But there's no other way. Now it's really up to you. Love is the key we must turn. Truth is the flame we must burn. Freedom, the lesson we must learn. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning, here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. So get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, I've been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. So get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. So get ready, my soul.
Thank you, Beverly and Chris. Get ready, my soul. So let's dive in. Let's dive in together today. Ironically, it seems right now, our theme for this year is living from the heart of wonder. I guess we're wondering what's going on in the world. That wasn't quite the wonder we thought we were inviting in when we started this year, right? And this month, I've been talking about the idea that spiritual substance is everywhere, that we are ourselves, in fact, spiritual substance, and talking about how to use that well in creating the world that we want. Today, the theme I chose quite a while ago was life is always for us. Now, right now, that might seem a little bit questionable in terms of things that are going on in the world. So I'm going to start with some probably ridiculously inappropriate, not really inappropriate, but out of place levity, because we're going to be talking about some more serious things. So I want to start with something that actually is a story. It may be a true story. I kind of doubt it, but it may be a true story. And it's supposedly from an associate professor of physics for thermodynamics. So a thermodynamics professor gave a written take-home exam to his graduate students, and it had only one question. Is hell exothermic, gives off heat, or endothermic, absorbs heat? Support your answer with a proof. Well, most of the students wrote proofs of their beliefs using Boyle's law. Gas cools off when it expands and heats up when it's compressed, or some variation of that. One student, however, wrote the following. First, we need to know how the mass of hell is changing over time. So we need to know the rate that souls are moving into hell and the rate that they're leaving. I think we can safely assume that once a soul gets to hell, it will not leave. Therefore, no souls are leaving. As for how many souls are entering hell, let's examine the different religions in the world today. Some of these state that if you are not a member of their religion, you will go to hell. Since there are a number of these religions, and since most people do not belong to more than one religion, we can project that all people and all souls will go to hell. With current birth and death rates, we can expect the numbers of souls in hell to increase exponentially. Second, we need to consider the rate of change of the volume of hell, because Boyle's law states that in order for the temperature and pressure in hell to remain constant, the volume of hell has to expand as souls are added. This yields two possible conclusions. One, if hell is expanding at a slower rate than the rate at which souls enter hell, then the temperature and pressure in hell will increase until all hell breaks loose, making it exothermic. However, if hell is expanding at a rate faster than the rate of souls entering hell, then the temperature and pressure will drop until hell freezes over, making it endothermic. So, which is it? If we accept the postulate given to me by Miss Teresa Banyan during my freshman year that it will be a cold night in hell before I sleep with you, and we take into account the fact that I still have not succeeded in winning her heart, then number two cannot be true. Therefore, hell is exothermic. The student got the only A. Clearly an instructor with a sense of humor. And a young man with a sense of humor and also a good enough sense of thermodynamics to be able to give a humorous yet accurate explanation of why he was coming to the conclusion that he was. So, in looking at the idea that the universe, that life is always for us, I remember a business group that I was involved with where the man and his wife who ran this group had a couple of little boys, and one of the things that their dad would say to them every single night is, the universe is always for us, never against us. And I believe that. However, it's really important to understand that that does not mean that the universe, God, the creative law, life, will save us from our mistakes and errors. We still get to experience the natural consequences of those mistakes and errors, because that's the way this system seems to be designed in order to help us to learn. So when we say this, the life is always for us, we're actually not meaning that life is always for us in the sense that everything will always go our way, that life is there to deliver to us whatever we want in the timing that we want it, and we shouldn't ever struggle or have any difficulties. That would be unrealistic and Pollyanna-ish, I think, right? So the way that life supports us is by providing us with more of what we're focusing on and doing so that we can evaluate, do we want that? Is that what we want to continue to choose? Is it working for us or is it not working for us? So when we look at the state of what's going on right now with Ukraine, we might ask ourselves, how could the universe possibly be for that? How could the universe be supporting that? I mean, how could it be for Ukraine and for Russia at the same time, given what's going on at the border? And how are we then responding when we ask ourselves that question? Could it be true? Could it be true that life is for us, that the universe, that God is for us, given what we see in the world? How do we respond when we're asking ourselves that question? You know, in a smaller but also heartfelt experience this week, I saw that a young woman who had auditioned for America's Got Talent died. She was only 31. When she appeared on the show, which wasn't even that long ago, she did a fabulous song that she had written. She was very beautiful and very tiny, very thin. And at the beginning, when they asked her about herself, they asked her where she worked or what she did. And she said, well, I haven't worked for quite a while. For quite a few years now, I've been dealing with cancer. Or I've been experiencing cancer. That's what she said. I've been experiencing cancer. And they said, well, so how are you doing? She said, well, the last time I checked, I had some cancer in my liver, my lungs, and my spine. Just like that, very matter-of-factly. And one of the judges said, so you're not okay? She said, well, not entirely. And then she sang this wonderful song called It's Okay that she'd written to comfort herself in a dark time. She was intending to go on through the whole competition, but she became quickly then too ill to continue. And just this past week, I believe, she passed. And everybody, her audition, if you want to look for it, she called herself Nightbird with an E on the end. If you want to look for her on YouTube, you can find her audition for America's Got Talent and see how she affected everybody. That video has gone viral. So when we look at somebody like her who lived from her deep faith, and I think, you know, she said at one point she had a 2% chance of survival, but she went on to say 2% is not nothing. It's something. And you can't wait for life to stop being hard to decide to be happy. And I thought, wow, that's a t-shirt phrase, isn't it? And something that all of us could use, because the difficulties in life don't always last forever. In her case, she made her transition while still in that difficult experience, but not without her faith. I think that maybe she thought there would be a miracle and she would survive, and she was willing to continue forward in that possibility. But when we look at her life, that one good soul, so young, so talented, and we look at what's happening in Ukraine, we might wonder then, where is the spiritual truth in this situation? Because all of the appearances are tragic and difficult. Well, not quite all of them, but a lot of them, right? And so I do believe that if we're in the world today, that all of us are connected to what's happening in Ukraine. We would have been here in another era if this didn't have anything to do with us. So the question is, what can we learn now, individually? What can we learn? I'm on the planet, so this is also about me. So what can I learn from this? And one of the things that I think I'm being asked to learn is to refocus on the spiritual truth again and again and again, no matter how distressing the news is, no matter how overwhelming any of that seems, that as religious scientists, it's our job to do what we know, which is to come back to the spiritual truth. And what is the spiritual truth? The spiritual truth is that God is all there is, everywhere, all the time, not bound by time and space. That's the essence, that's the truth. It can't be destroyed, it can't be diminished, it can't be disempowered. It's not possible. So the appearance of what is going on is not the soul level truth of those countries or of the people or of us. However, we are living out the natural consequences of attitudes, behaviors, and thoughts worldwide. So when we look at what's happening in Ukraine and we get frightened and we get angry and we push out onto Vladimir Putin and Russian aggression and so on and so forth, to put all that badness on them, we're missing the point. We're missing the point, because what we're doing when we do that is we're entering into that same conflict and adding energy to it. It's very difficult not to do that. I must admit, it's very difficult for me, and so I imagine it is for other people. I just discovered this morning that somebody I went to high school with, whose last name is Donahue, that his mother's parents came from Ukraine. I didn't know that. Some people in our congregation have been to Ukraine. In fact, Jet and Joe, who did this wonderful altar for Ukraine this morning, Jet brought her album of photos from 2013 when they were in Ukraine at the conference with Reverend Dr. Barbara Leger. And they were in Crimea, which was part of Ukraine, until 1 week after they left. So they were right up against the edges of it. And you can see in her book the map of where Ukraine is, the countries that are around it. You can see Crimea, and you can see a lot of photos of the people and the children and the location and our team who was there. How many of you have been to Ukraine? Yeah, so we have a handful of people in the room who have been there to Ukraine. This affects them deeply because they know people there. And Joe was pointing out to me this morning, Joe Hughes, that she's got a friend who is a military veteran with a Purple Heart, didn't fight in Ukraine, didn't fight Russia, but he's having flashbacks because this is so triggering. I never thought about how this could affect veterans worldwide who have been through major conflicts like this. So the effect that it's having in the world is enormous. And so the question then arises about, how do we handle this? In A New Design for Living, our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, "In such degree as we cooperate with and entertain good in our thought and actions, the entire nature of the universe is for us and nothing is against us." So, however, he does say, in such degree as we cooperate with and entertain good in our thought. So that's one clue as to the direction that we're being asked to go. And then in The Science of Mind, he says this, which is more to the point. Stay with the one and never deviate from it. Never leave it for a moment. Nothing else can equal this attitude. To desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we do not know the truth. When things look the worst, that is the supreme moment to demonstrate to ourselves that there are no obstructions to the operation of truth. When things look the worst is the best time to work, the most satisfying time. It's also, and these are my words, not his, the most difficult time to work, because we have to pull ourselves back from getting lost in the appearances every single time. And it can happen to us multiple times every day that we hear something, we get lost in that again, in that pain of the compassion for the people who are in the midst of that and are in fear. So we want to know then, how then, with this going on, if we believe that life is always for us, how do we interpret what is happening now? And from that new perspective, then how do we respond? Or do we respond? Do we stay in meditation in order to not move into this negativity? I posted something on Facebook earlier this week about not allowing the upsetting appearances and difficulties in the world to uncenter us or put out our light or turn us away from our light. And somebody I know pretty well responded to me, well, is it really good to just be still in this situation? Shouldn't we be actively doing something? And my response was, I think there are lots of ways to respond. I think for some, activism is the way to respond if they can do it with a peaceful heart, you see, because otherwise our activism is fueling the conflict. That's really tough, to be called to activism and come back into neutral, where we're letting go of the results, but doing everything we can to work toward peace while remaining anchored in peace. That's tough, but maybe that's what some of us are called to. Some of us are called to be in prayer, to really, really be in prayer from the truth. Some of us are simply called to try and live from a place of inner peace in ourselves as we interact with everybody in our lives. And that can be a big enough piece of work to do all by itself. Yes? I mean, if you have a pet and that's all you live with, you can still find yourself not coming from a place of peace with that animal all the time. I know, I have 2 wonderful kittens who like to play with a champagne cork in the middle of the night. It's hard to remain peaceful when you don't know where that cork is or what's going to thump on the floor next. So cultivating that sense of inner peace, it's a full-time job. It's a 365, 24/7, but it may be more important now because this is the now moment that we live in. This is our point of power. So it's more important now than it was yesterday. Now is the time that we can do something about it. Reverend Dr. Patrick Harbula wrote a book called The Magic of the Soul, Applying Spiritual Power to Daily Living. There's a course that he put together that uses this book, and I think I'm going to teach it in the spring or summer. This is what he says in the book. We can recognize and experience the magic, sacredness, spiritual power in each situation we find ourselves. If the situation is pleasant, experience all the joy and wonder that is available in that moment. If the situation is unpleasant, painful, or even oppressive, allow yourself the freedom to feel pain, loss, or anger, and be present for the spiritual magic that exists within the situation itself. When we recognize the presence of the sacred, we automatically open ourselves to growth. So this to me is a clue about what we are here to do, to experience at this particular time, we are called on a very steep path of growth, to move beyond even the little stuff we let ourselves get away with because we're mostly pretty good. Even the little stuff that we don't really think about too much. I don't want you to go beating yourself up. That's not what I'm talking about at all. Please don't do that. but rather to notice, just to notice, to bring compassion to ourselves, because that also spreads it out into the world, and to breathe into what we're feeling, to notice it, to honor it, and then to let it go as much as we can, to bring ourselves back to a place of peace. But to acknowledge it first, rather than try and resist it and push it away, and rather than try and take action out of that upset. Is this making sense? Are you with me here? Okay. So we are experiencing a world scale lesson. We're experiencing it for a reason. So this is from Potenza, an artist who lives in Santa Rosa, who has made a heart of the world for every country on the planet now, I think, based on the colors of that country's flag. And as we think about the involvement in this tragedy that's going on, think about all the times that something like this has happened in the world. Lessons, individual and collective, have to repeat themselves until we actually get it, what we're supposed to learn, or what is there for us to discover and learn. So this is happening in the world again because as individuals, as a community, as a planet, we haven't got it yet, right? And so what's the lesson? What is the lesson the world is trying to learn? What have we not yet grasped, not yet realized? What have our eyes not yet really seen? As the Elton John, Bernie Taupin song goes that Beverly and Chris were doing for us this morning. Well, I think it's this. I think the lesson is that we are not alone in recognizing that this is not okay. It's happening all over the world, and protests are happening in Russia. Over 1,000 people have already, nearly 2,000 the last time I checked, have already been arrested for demonstrations across across Russia, that are absolutely forbidden. I mean, these folks are risking imprisonment, they're risking having their reputations ruined, they're risking being disappeared or being tortured. They're risking that because this is important to the Russian people. They do not, for the most part, want this war. It has a tremendously negative impact on their lives and their economy and their jobs and their future in the world. And so they are standing up, but there are demonstrations happening everywhere, in Paris, in Berlin, in London, in the United States. There are demonstrations happening because the world is looking and watching and responding, and we've never had a time like this where the communication across the world is so immediate, and so much of what is really happening can be seen regardless of what's being said. So the lesson, I think, for us is to recognize and own that we are Putin. We are Russia. We are Ukraine. We are the Russian soldiers at the border who were sent there under false pretenses. One whole platoon, I guess, of soldiers surrendered in Kyiv because they said, we did not know that we were being sent here to kill Ukrainians. They are Slavs too. They have friends and relatives in Ukraine. So those young soldiers, or whatever ages they are on the border, they're not unaffected either by being sent to the border. So here we have then the recognition that the world has not yet grasped that we are each other. There is only one. We do not ultimately have separate interests, no matter what we think we need, no matter what we think somebody else wants or needs. We are one people, one emanation, one being coming directly out of the heart of God. Now that infinite presence is not intervening to stop this, because that's our job. This is our learning, this huge worldwide attention. We didn't figure it out during the pandemic. We started to, but then we fell asleep again. We forgot that we're one. Well, this is another opportunity to remember, but if we refuse to remember that we are also Putin, we can also feel that we need more attention, or we need more power, or we need more defenses, or we need more something in order to, I don't know, feel better about ourselves, distract people from something else we've done that's not working so well. We are all capable of that. Maybe not at this scale, we hope not, but we're all capable of that. We're all capable of insensitivity or selfishness or whatever lack of confidence or whatever the heart of this aggression is about. We're all capable of that. It lives in every one of us. It's part of the human condition of learning who we really are in spite of our apparent conflicts. Is this making sense? I know this is maybe not easy to hear because he's been the bad guy for America for a really, really long time. And I'm not trying to say that what he's doing is good at all. But I think it's very important for us as people who say we believe that God is all there is, who say we believe in the power of prayer, to shift conditions. If we believe that, then boy, the rubber meets the road. We're having a come to Jesus experience right now. This is the time to see. You know, Jesus is supposed to have said at one point, when you go to the altar, into the sacred, when you go into the sacred to bring your gift, to bring your love, to bring your acknowledgement, to bring your presence into the presence of the divine, when you go into the Holy of Holies to do that, if you have anything against your brother, put your gift down at the altar and go make peace with your brother first. Then come back and give your gift. So we are more effective as healers and bringers of light in the world when we create inner peace for ourselves in these tumultuous situations. I know this isn't easy, and I don't expect us to do it well. All I'm asking is for us to wake up as often as we can and bring ourselves back to that place of ground, of center, of knowing that right where we are, all of God is. And that is no less true in the heart of any soldier on the border, or any Ukrainian inside the country, or anybody in Russia, including Putin and the oligarchs. There's only one, and that one is all there is. Ernest Holmes used to say, one with God is a majority. So, even if we can't remember every minute, if we were all spaced out through the days and weeks in terms of the moments we remembered, think how many moments we might still cover. And sometimes more than one of us would be remembering at the same time. But we're adding something always to the human consciousness. And what we are called to, what we want to add, is more peace, not more anger and more conflict and more upset and more enemies. So, Peace Pilgrim. How many of you have ever heard of Peace Pilgrim? All right, there was this little old woman, true story, this is a real person, in the United States who decided that she was going to make a stand for peace, a walk for peace, actually. And so she left her home and her family, I think she had kids and grandkids, and she began to walk around the United States. She took no money. She took no supplies. She slept wherever she was. If somebody gave her a place, she slept there. She ate when she was given food. That was all. She was there simply to speak and walk for peace. She never identified herself by name. She wore a certain neutral colored outfit and with a thing that said Peace Pilgrim. And she walked for the rest of her life. That's what she did. And she said at one point, there is a criterion by which you can judge whether the thoughts you are thinking and the things you are doing are right for you. The criterion is, have they brought you inner peace? What a simple, good question to ask us. And so we see this heart of Ukraine, also from Potenza. What is ours to do? Individually, I think we need to ask ourselves, what's mine to do? What's mine to do may just be to try to remember and then to try to interact from a place of peace with everybody around me. That contributes, every time I do it, it contributes peacefulness to the human consciousness, and it offers strength, peace, groundedness, a sense of being supported to the people in Ukraine and those who are actively fighting back for their lives and their country. There's a young Ukrainian soldier who sacrificed himself this week. A particular bridge had been mined, but there was not time to blow it up remotely so that the Russians wouldn't cross that bridge. And so he volunteered to do it manually. And he went out and sacrificed his life for his country. He volunteered to do that. There have always been heroes like that in every kind of conflict. And what we want is to bring our hearts and our attention and our souls into a place of compassion and peace that leans in the direction of the passion and dedication of that young soul in honor of him, to give our love, our knowingness of the power of peace to Ukraine and everybody that is affected by this. So first we must apply the power of consciousness that we know how to apply through our spiritual practices, through prayer, through meditation, through visioning, through coming over to our prayer table and getting prayer from our practitioners. If you feel particularly overwhelmed by all this, get prayer from our practitioners this morning. That's what they're there for. We want to create inner peace as our priority. We want to recognize that we can't go and be useful anywhere else until we have an increase in inner peace right here. Who knows but what one of us in this room with 5 minutes more of inner peace might be the one who tips the balance in what's happening over there. We don't know what that consciousness in the world will add. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge thing. We want to perhaps take bold action, be visible somehow, speak up somehow, offer support somehow, perhaps, but we want to do that from a place of peace so that we're adding that into that situation. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, in your invisible power, peace is at the center of your own soul. It is the very being of your being. This peace, which is at the center of your being, has never been disturbed. It has never been afraid. It never desired to harm anyone. Therefore, it has never been hurt. How then shall you use this great gift, which nestles at the very center of your being? You are to use it consciously. You are to speak the word of peace wherever discord appears. And when you do speak the word of peace, let no doubt arise in your thought. You must know that peace stills the tempest. You must know that your peace has all power because it is the peace of God within you. So this morning, when you came in, you were all given a handout. The handout is a couple of quotes and a spiritual mind treatment for Ukraine. Now, before we do that prayer, I want to tell you that Reverend Barbara Leger has a secular ministry in Ukraine right now called the Golden Path of Peace that is teaching school children in Ukraine and has been over the last year or two. Thousands of kids and teachers and parents have been affected by what she's doing there, teaching the principles of peace and cultivating inner peace. Because there's turmoil around Ukraine and has been, for a long time. So she's teaching the next generation. And right now, her organization, the goldenpathofpeace.org, could use our support, our donations. And you can go to their website, the goldenpathofpeace.org, and you can join in the noon meditations and discussions every Friday. There's a link on the website for that. You can text to donate to them if you want to do that, or you can mail a donation over to Reverend Barbara in Reading. Also, Temenos, the church, although it can't be called that in Ukraine or Russia, but the center that Barbara started in Ukraine the day after 9/11 is still there. It's being now taken by Ukrainians. They're running it themselves there, and she's in contact with a number of people from that center still. So we are still at Golden Gate because we're a sister to those ministries. We're still connected to all of them in Ukraine, in Cherkasy, in Sevastopol, around the Black Sea. And so I want to encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity then to directly support what's going on through Reverend Barbara's ministries to help peace stay anchored where it is right there. And so in order to do that, I'd like to invite you to join me in speaking these quotes and prayer out loud. And if you don't have a copy, look on with somebody else. It's like a little half sheet. I know the print is small. Get out your readers if you need them, those of you that do. And let's read this together from the Tao Te Ching. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. And from Seminar Lectures by Ernest Holmes, our belief rests on the divine idea that there is but one mind, one life, the mind and life of God. We are a part of that life and mind, and all of us find our abiding place in our own consciousness. The God we are looking for, we are looking with and looking at. The deep, full, free, rich presence of Spirit is completely in harmony and peace with itself at all times. It is exquisitely balanced, completely flowing. There is no obstruction, no competition, no fear. Everything that exists is nothing more or less than this one. So the deepest truth of all that is also peace and harmony. A momentary appearance is only changing form. The essence remains the same. This is true of me and true of everyone in Ukraine, its border, and Russia, civilians and military, pro and anti-Russia citizens, men, women, and children, old and young, wealthy and poor. Every one of them is the divine presence with all of its wholeness and unity completely intact. Joining in consciousness with all of Golden Gate CSL now, I speak this word of power for Ukraine. The word I speak resonates through these walls and across the land and sea. It vibrates within the hearts of every Ukrainian and Russian. This is the truth of who we are. I see Ukraine and Russia unified in mutual respect and listening. I see new alternatives emerging and trustworthy friendships and alliances developing. I accept that wonderful solutions are emerging now that have never occurred before for the highest good of every person there. I feel this truth. I let it resonate within me, reminding me that this is my truth too. I accept it deeply and with profound gratitude. I feel good about the word spoken. I accept it, and I am permeated with this deep truth. With love and peace, I release this prayer into the creative law of mind and spirit, where it is accomplished by the power of this word now. And so it is. And I want to invite you now to stand and join me in this affirmation. So once again, we're going to say together, there is only one power. There is no thing to oppose it, and life can only be for itself. Since we are made out of it, life must always be for us. No exceptions. Thank you. You may be seated. And so for whatever it is that we, as Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, as a community, are called to, I am sure there will be more coming forth from Centers for Spiritual Living about funding, going to Ukraine, etc. So when we know more about where those things are being asked for and what we can do, we will give you that information. In the meantime, know that Golden Gate is paying attention to that and wanting to do what is ours to do. If you would like to make a donation to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living today, you can text a donation to 415-779-7613. Just put in the amount, and that would be great. We want to do a blessing, especially for everything that we are receiving right now and have received during this past week by doing this blessing. And I'm going to invite the ushers to come up now and prepare for the blessing and receiving of the offering. This blessing is something we do in unison, honoring our own gifts and all the gifts that are being given and have been given during this past week. So let's say this together. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. And as they're receiving the offering, we're going to welcome back Beverly and Chris right now for their music. So here they come.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. May the good Lord be with you down every road you roam. And may sunshine and happiness surround you when you're far from home. May you grow to be proud, dignified and true, and do unto others as you'd have done to you. Be courageous and be brave, and in your heart you'll always stay forever young, forever young, forever young. May good fortune be with you, may your guiding light be strong. Build a stairway to heaven with a prince or a vagabond. May you never love in vain, and in your heart you will remain forever young, forever young, forever young. Forever never tell. And whatever road you choose, love is with you, win or lose. Forever young, forever young, forever young. Forever young, forever young.
Thank you. Thank you, Beverly and Chris. Yay. It's wonderful, wonderful. So now all of us, as Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, do gratefully accept this offering and consciously, intentionally send it out into the world to increase peace everywhere that it goes, to bring healing and harmony to hearts and minds. And so it is. So it is. All right. Let's give another round of applause to Beverly and Chris. Yay. Now, if you are with us for the first time today, even if it's only physically, if you've been with us online, but you're here physically for the first time today, I want to let you know we have welcome packets back at the table here. Galen's holding up the card. Inside the welcome packet, which has a Science of Mind magazine in it, there is a welcome card, a blue welcome card. If you fill this out and give it to Galen back there, she's going to give you a little gift as our thank you for being with us today. It's a little book of affirmations that are good for all kinds of situations that may come up in your life when you need to recenter and step back into peace. We're so grateful that you're with us today. We're so delighted to have you with us. Thank you for being here this morning, and we hope that we'll see you often in the coming weeks, and you'll be a part of our spiritual family right here with us. Also, I want to thank everybody who made this morning possible. And I want to give a special shout out to Jet and Joe, who created this altar for Ukraine this morning. Yeah. Also to Amanda, who brought the sunflowers, which are Ukraine's flower. And also to Amanda and Dana and Jim this morning, who got out the ladder to move the lights to make sure I was in the warmest light possible this morning. Thank you for that. Took a little doing, but they did it. And also, I want to thank Dana for being here earlier this week. Was it yesterday or the day before? He was in here studying the lights and talking with the Masonic people to, work on things even more. So you got to know that the group of people that show up on Sunday also are very involved in things during the week to make Sunday work as well as it does. And I just appreciate them so much. Yeah. All right, now then, we are participating with the Marin Food Bank. They've got a warehouse in San Rafael. And once a month, there is a Tuesday, I believe it is, from noon to 2, is that right, Ellen? From noon to 2, where we have a team that it varies month to month who's all going, but we have a team that goes over to the warehouse to help pack food that's going out to distribution points that are nearer people's homes. And it's a great opportunity to hang out and be in service with other people from the center, but also to meet other volunteers from other places and make a difference in people's lives. 2 hours a month, not a big deal. So if you're interested in doing that on any of the dates that are up here on the slide, please talk to Ellen Nicosia this morning. She's right here, and she can get you signed up for that. Also, her information is on the slide. If you'd rather just text her or email her, let her know your contact info and the dates you're interested in. This coming Thursday is the first spring hike for Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, a Marin County spring hike. People are going to meet at 10 a.m. at Freitas Parkway. at the end of Freitas, the west end of Freitas Parkway, and go from there to the trail for about an hour walk. If you have any questions about that, talk to talk to Deborah Irwin or Steve this morning. Steve, would you stand up? And Deborah, would you stand up? You can talk to them about the walk, and they will fill you in on the details. But that is starting, and they would like to have an RSVP so they don't, leave before you get there if you're planning to come. So please talk to them this morning about that. There will be other dates and more opportunities, but this is the first one. The climate action tip for this week is choose a day during the week to go meat free. You can have a lot of great food still without having meat every day. You can have fish, you can have all kinds of vegetables, you can have cheeses, you can have eggs, you can have all sorts of stuff. And if everyone on the planet did that, we would reduce global emissions by 1 gigaton per year. That is the same as taking 273 million cars off the road. That's a lot of cars. So we can start it right here in this room 1 day a week. It's reasonable to try that. And please remember that our practitioners are available immediately after the service for prayer, and also their prayer box is available all the time. Would the practitioners please surround the room, and would you ladies bring me the prayer box? If you put a request in the prayer box, the practitioners on duty today will pray over it with you for a week. You can do that and go to see them and get a personal prayer for whatever's on your heart this morning. So I encourage you to do that. If you have questions about practitioners, I invite you to talk to any of these other people wearing their stoles today. They're not on duty today, but they'd be happy to answer questions if they're able to be around for a little while after the service. So I invite you to do that. And let's take a moment right now to center ourselves once again in a very brief prayer. Take a breath with me. This breath is the breath of God in us. This breath is life, it is love, it is infinite intelligence, power, and peace. It's right where we are right now. So I know that in this room, we are lovingly reminded throughout this next week to let go into peace, to breathe and relax into peace, to see Ukraine shining brightly with peace, and to reinforce in our hearts again and again that peace is our nature, our essence, and what we wish to experience more of and return to again and again. The seeds of peace, the full presence of peace, in fact, is where we are. And we choose to bring it forward into our awareness and to sink deeply into it today. We're so grateful for this, and we share the benefit of this prayer with all the world, with gratitude, with humility, with peace. We let this prayer go into the divine. We let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Yes. And now I invite you to stand and join me. Thank you, Joyce. Cute haircut, by the way. I invite you to stand and join me for the benediction, and then Beverly and Chris will lead us in the closing song. So please join me. I now walk, so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For Spirit and all people and I are one eternally, and so it is. And we give it away to Beverly and Chris to teach us our closing song now.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for a wonderful service. It was our privilege to be with you here this morning, all the way from North Vancouver up here in Canada. Woo! Thank you, sending love to all the hearts around the world. This is a Jack Fowler song called God in Everything. And it starts off with, I see joy, I see peace, I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. Let's try and sing that. Here we go. I see joy, I see peace. I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. Let's do it again. I see joy. I see peace. I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see joy. I see peace. I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness. I see happiness. I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. I see joy. I see peace. I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness. I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. 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 Bless you all. Have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you. Bless you.